Hi there, I'm Tom, and this is Des, and we're in Fleet Street, Humble Grape, and we're here to tell you a little bit about how to taste wine and the things that you might do to sort of work your way through a sort of systematic approach to tasting wine. So Des, first off, what's the first thing we do when we're looking at a glass of wine?
Actually, the first thing that you look when you're looking at a glass of wine is actually looking at the color and seeing if there's any brown tinge to it, if the wine has any age to it, and that could tell you a lot about if the wine is going to be okay.
Okay, so for a red wine, for example, if it's like a sort of purpley colour, that indicates it's probably a younger wine.
Yep.
If it's going more towards a brown, then it's probably got a bit of age to it.
Yes.
And we're typically doing that at the edge of the wine there. You can see it where it's just a bit thinner, so you can see the light goes through it. Okay, so we do that. We can start to make a few assumptions based on the colour and the tinge. What else are we going to do?
So after you've assessed the color, you can then assess the nose. So that's why we swirl wine, is because we want to make sure that the wine is clean and it doesn't have any faults. So we swirl. This actually took me a little bit of practice to swirl without putting it on the table.
Yeah.
So first,
don't worry about this too much.
Yeah. So you look at the wine, and then you can swirl it. And you smell it.
And we're swirling it because that allows more oxygen to get into the wine.
Yep, and then ultimately the aromas can actually come up.
Okay.
And then into your nose.
And that's why the shape of the glass is important as well. So a glass like this, you can swirl it around, let the oxygen get in, but you're not throwing it everywhere. And also those aromas and those sort of fumes essentially build up in the top of the glass here, and then that gives you a chance to really get your nose in and smell them and look.
That's actually why you have a little bit of an indentation here, so it concentrates it.
Okay, so perhaps it's for this wine, what are the sorts of things you're smelling?
So for this one, I can already tell that the wine is quite clean, so
Yep.
there's nothing really wrong with it. But one thing about wine is that think of categories, because ultimately you're using a really primitive sense, which is your nose. So if we were to ask you, like, what does, a cigar smell like? Like, well, it just smells like a cigar. Same with wine. It could just smell like wine to you. So the best way of tackling that is think of categories. So does this wine smell a little bit like savory notes, or is it a little bit like fruit?
Okay, so let's run through it whilst we're doing it, and perhaps the people watching will be able to work out what wine it is.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will get it, but let's try. So give us a few things you're smelling.
So I'm going to start off with red fruit. So then you have to think about like some red fruit. So it, to me, has a little bit of red berries in it. So what kind of red berries do you get, Tom?
I'm getting a little bit of raspberry and strawberry in there.
Oh yeah, I get a little
Really fresh.
Yeah, it is. I get a lot of cherries as well.
Yeah, definitely like red cherries.
Yes, definitely. Then you have to think about those fruits and how they're prepared. Is it like underripe, or is it ripe, or is it like perhaps like in a tart, or is it like, comforteur that you spread on your toast in the morning?
Yeah, that's jam to English people.
Oops, sorry.
So this is a very light, fresh wine. I'm getting super fresh fruit coming through.
Yeah.
So let's move on. What's the next bit? Tasting. Come on, we've got to taste.
Oh, of course. I mean, you have to taste wine.
I mean, the first thing on this though is that you won't see any spittoons here because the Humble Grape, the ones we're drinking, not for spitting out. So let's try it, shall we?
Yeah, definitely. You think that's clean?
It is, definitely. So there's definitely no faults. It's fresh. It's ready to drink. You may have noticed Des was slurping like a 3-year-old eating soup. And do you want to perhaps explain why you did that?
So basically, you're aerating the wine in your mouth. You're introducing oxygen, and you're having the aromas come up into the roof of your mouth and also into your throat. So that's what helps you taste wine. So think about it. When you have a cold, for instance, you can't taste anything. That's because your nose is blocked. Same thing with wine.
It's all connected, isn't it?
It really is.
We're essentially doing what we were doing with the swirling of the glass, but now in our mouth. Just heightens that sort of experience. You can taste things better. You sort of get the senses better.
Yeah.
So, what did you taste, Des?
So, a really good wine to me is if it smells like cherries and raspberries and strawberries, that it carries through in what you taste on the palate. So to me, I do get cherries, raspberries, and strawberries, and they're really ripe as well.
Really fresh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting some slight floral notes.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's a little bit like maybe some red roses.
Yeah, definitely a bit of sort of like rose petal in there, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Starting to be some hints there for working out what wine this might be, or maybe not. So yeah, so when we're tasting wine, some of the things we look for, other than just what we can taste, we think about the level of acidity, for example. So on this wine, the level of acidity is not particularly high, is it?
No.
I wouldn't say it's not there.
No.
It's probably middling, I would say.
I think so.
Maybe just below, low to middling, something like that. And that's about as much detail as you need to go into, really. Just getting super geeky about it. With it being a red wine, something else we'll look at is tannins.
Yep.
Now, tannins you get from the seeds and the skin and the stalks and that sort of thing, and that's what in red wine sort of makes you go, sort of coats your mouth and gives you that sort of weird sensation.
Yep.
And in this wine, much of that?
Not so much. And on the note of tannins, the reason why it makes your mouth really dry is because tannin molecules actually attach to the sides of your mouth, and your cells are rubbing against each other, which creates that drying sensation.
Ah, okay, that's interesting. So not very many tannins in this. So,
Nope.
so it's quite a light wine, fresh red fruits. You know, it's starting to build a picture of what this wine might be and what kind of wine whether you might like it or
Yep.
not. So what other things do we look at? We've done acidity, we've done what we're tasting, we've done tannins.
Oh, well, I think one thing that we have to look at when it comes to tasting wine is actual body of the wine. So
100%.
a really good way of thinking about body is is to think of milk. So is it full body like full milk, or is it like semi-skim milk, or is it water milk? And for those of you out there who don't like milk, you can think of coconut milk versus coconut water or rice water. So think about how it feels in your mouth. And then another thing that you have to think about is everything is in balance. So if the intensity of the flavor is just medium, and the palate is medium, and then the finish is medium, that is in general a very good wine.
Yeah.
Everything is in balance. Balance is key.
Yeah, I mean, the things that people talk about when assessing the quality of a wine, you know, it's the balance, the length of the finish, how long that flavour stays in your mouth after you've swallowed, the intensity of the flavours, how strong they are, and the complexity, how many different things are going on. And if you've got all four of those things, then you've probably got a very good wine, if not like, you know, an excellent wine. I think in this wine, you know, it is well balanced, there's quite a few things going on. I'd say this is a very good wine. But for me, I think it's always key is the balance. That is the most important thing. You know, you don't want it to be so acidic that you can't taste anything else, you don't want it to be so alcoholic, all those sorts of things. It's all about balance. So, Des, what wine were you drinking? There's been a few clues, some of the smarter people may have been able to figure it out, but I doubt it. There's a few red herrings actually, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, to me, you have to think of, okay, so it's not that alcoholic, so you have to think of curry. So there isn't a lot of sun to this wine. So you have to think it's kind of maybe like a cool climate wine. So for me, it can't be, you know, a Northern Rhone Syrah. It can definitely not be like a Madiran. It cannot be a Sangiovese. And this is really fun to drink. It's quite bubbly as well, really juicy, really, almost jammy. So for me, I would either probably go with either Gamay or Zweigelt.
Okay, so some of the classic flavour descriptors there for Pinot Noir were coming out, so we were thinking Pinot Noir. Now we've been a bit cheeky with this because it is a Zweigelt, which is essentially Pinot Noir by a different name, but it's a very light, fresh, sort of early drinking wine, and goes with lots of things. It's quite a fun wine. I'm a big fan.
Me too.
And so you can see how when you build up a sort of structure for how you think about wine, you can start to sort of think about it in a slightly more sort of intellectual way, but that's you can still enjoy it, and that we must stress that. And so once you've done this and you've thought about what kind of wine it is, the different sort of elements to it, it's also important to think, did I like it? Yes or no, or maybe a little bit, doesn't matter. But also something to think about is perhaps would I like it in a different situation? So this is quite a light wine. Perhaps if you ate it with something really spicy, you would lose it. You think, well, that's a rubbish wine. Or conversely, you might drink a big, you know, Bordeaux or a big Aussie Shiraz, and it would be a bit too much on its own. But if you were to serve it with food, it would come into balance again. So it's always important to think about it like that, or perhaps even just think, it's a well-made wine, but not really to my taste. And that's something that we learn as a skill in the wine trade is, you know, we appreciate that people have different tastes, so we've got to be able to realise that's a well-made wine, but it's just not something I like drinking. So you can work that out and think about, well, you know, I don't like that, but, you know, my brother might, or my friend might, so for their birthday or whatever, you know, you can actually make wine buying choices for other people on that basis. So we hope you've learned a few bits today. It's been quite good fun for us.
This was a lot of fun.
You know, drinking sort of mid-afternoon. So hopefully you've learned a bit. We'll see you next week. We're going to send you another video. But that's it from Des and I today. Cheers.
Bye, guys.